What's up, guys? It's Mike. Welcome to the Mike Sports Podcast Show. Please like and subscribe to the podcast for exclusive content. Hope everyone is doing well today as we talk about what we missed, what we didn't miss, and what we will not miss on in the subjects that we discussed today. Got a lot to talk about. We talk about LeBron and his Memphis comments, talking about Memphis as a city and the improvements. Of course, going to talk about Jayden Ivey, recap of college basketball, NBA playoffs, Giannis and Milwaukee Grizzlies, and the John Morant unfavorable ending. Talk about the NBA draft and Grizz picks, UNC, Mike Malone, and we'll see what else comes to mind. After that, we'll wrap it up. But these are the trending hot topics that we're gonna touch on today for a few minutes. So again, thank you for joining in, listening in. Please again subscribe, like, comment, share your input. It's very important. This setup is going to be a little different from the previous podcast that I've done. I don't have my shout outs, a specific shout out or story of the day, or we will have hopefully a guest in Greg Rufus later on this week. So looking forward to that. So starting off, LeBron James, he made comments about Memphis. Several NBA players have made comments about Memphis previous to LeBron in regards to their experience coming and playing the Grizzlies and being just in the city of Memphis. But when LeBron speaks, the whole world listens because of who LeBron is and his career. And I'm not going to rehash what he said. I mean, it's been almost a week now, and we've kind of had some time to digest everything that he said. A whole lot of people missed the whole point, missed the mark. They just simply don't understand Memphis and what the Grizzlies mean to the city of Memphis, the money that it produces for the city of Memphis. So, LeBron made his comments about the hotel. We've heard talks about Memphis crime and not like nobody wants to play here. Um, Jeff T, his podcast group or whatever, showed a picture of a hotel with dirty water. Uh, Obviously, I guess the Westin and the Hyatt downtown is not good enough, at least for LeBron. Um, but those amenities are not acceptable or enough. We had G Fed that came down from what I believe was either Indianapolis or Chicago, Illinois. But he came down and actually did a walkthrough both hotels, and I guess we're getting a shout out to him for taking that extra step, and I believe we've set a new trend for him, and I'm starting to follow him now. Uh, where now he's going to tour the hotels that NBA players stay at. First, he was doing the stadiums. Now he's doing hotels, and Memphis has become the originator. And he's gone out and challenged some of these podcasters who have, at this point, are just being petty and just, I believe, just using Memphis for clickbait, just to talk bad about Memphis. He's going out and challenging these people. Uh, so shout out to G Fed and of course many others. Jessica Benson, Shy Brown, Anthony Sane, Doc Doc Holliday, several have um, stood in the gap to explain on their shows, talk about Memphis, um, you know, rightfully defending their city. I am not from Memphis, originally from Richmond, Virginia, but I've been in Memphis for nearly 20 years, almost 20 years, and I consider Memphis home. And I love the city of Memphis. I do. I really do love the city of Memphis. I love the history, the civil rights history, Martin Luther King history. The food obviously is awesome. The music history, everything about Memphis, I love. I love Bill Street, even though I don't frequent, just on a weekly or regular basis. But I love the city of Memphis. I love the Redbird, games, the University of Memphis, Memphis Tigers, everything about the city of Memphis, the river. I feel like the city is doing its best to make improvements. But I think Shy Brown said it best is that in her article, which everyone should read in the Daily Myth, that which everyone should read, that Memphis has always had to justify its need to be recognized, whereas Nashville is almost as if it's just given to them, handed to them. And Nashville is a very nice city. Of course, the main issue with the LeBron issue, with LeBron's ignorant comments, was that he suggested that the Memphis Grizzlies should just move out of Memphis and move to Nashville, which uh, I don't believe that's going to happen. First of all, um, but it will be the wrong move. Um, I think the thing right now for me that is disturbing is that nobody from the front office, nobody from not even pair of the owner has come out and with their own words just definitively have said Memphis is not moving, Memphis is home. We acknowledge and recognize that there are the needed improvements to the surrounding area, maybe even our facilities need to be renovated and improved. Nobody from the Grizzlies organization has come out, and you have all these fans, podcasters, people from outside of Memphis, people inside Memphis, the fans stating their opinions on social media through comments, defending, standing 2 feet down uh, for the Memphis Grizzlies and we hear absolutely nothing from the front office of the Grizzlies. That to me is disappointing. But um, again, shout out to all those who are fighting for the city to make improvements. And our next subject, the Memphis improvement, what immediately needs to happen to improve. Um, this is an opportunity for Memphis to show improvement. I feel like this is a golden opportunity. It seems like with all the NBA players, everybody that have said something negative about the city of Memphis, um, that we as Memphians and the city and the city leaders need to come together and see what we can do to make downtown look not just downtown, but the beautify the city of Memphis. How can we attract more investors? Because money is pouring in, but how can we attract more to the downtown area? How can we just beautify the airport area when you fly in? Can we get some skyscrapers or some tall buildings or businesses, um, hotels? I'm talking about the Ritz Carlton, Four Seasons. What can we do to attract those resorts? Can we get resorts? Can we get water parks? Things for the kids to do. Uh, the very things that Nashville, Orlando, Florida, Georgia, every major cities, the things that they have that makes families and uh, NBA players have a more favorable opinion of Memphis because everything just seems to be negative except the food. Um, and I'm a foodie, so I love the food, but there are obvious things in the city of Memphis that can improve. Can we get some new restaurants? So can we build some apartments? Can we make Memphis look more attractive? The Peabody has a record of winning several awards, but can we add more hotels that can reach that standard where an award standard in the downtown area? Can we get a mall downtown? I know there was a mall downtown when I moved down here, first moved down here, and it looked deserted, but it was something. Um, and I'm sure please comment if you what you remember about Memphis. Back in the 2000s, uh, what it was like downtown, what was the vibe. We have the pyramid, we have the new convention center. Um, what improvements can be made? You can leave those comments in the comment section. Love to see, a couple of more steakhouses, a Papa Do's. I know that's real small things, but I mean, these things matter because it attracts people to Memphis. One thing I took note of what G Fed said was uh, that although he felt safe downtown with the National Guard, he also felt like it's something unsafe too. At the same time, the fact that they were just their presence there, and I can see how that would feel because I've been downtown with and when the National Guard is down there, and I felt safe, but for some business owners, I am concerned that they're not getting a lot of traffic. I went down on a weekend and there was pretty much no traffic in the middle of December, close to the holidays, and there was pretty much no real foot traffic on Bill Street, and it's about to warm up, so I know there'll be more people coming, and we have so many festivals coming up, so many events coming up. So, but what improvements can be made? Leave it in the comments, and we can bring them up on the next podcast. Next subject, Jayden Ivey. Jayden Ivey, uh, really good basketball player, was waived by the Chicago Bulls. I believe that he was waived because he was injured. He just no longer was valuable to the team. I believe he was officially waived because he his conduct was detrimental to the team because of his religious views, and pretty much his videos and social media on TikTok, talking about homosexuality and how it's unrighteousness, and that the NBA supports this. There are several college players, both football and basketball, that when they're interviewed, one of the first things that they say is, giving honor and praise to God for their abilities. And I think that's great. I think that's great that they are not afraid or ashamed to share their faith at all, to share their faith. But I do believe that there's a double standard in the NBA because you have people cheating, betting. What I mean, betting, gambling, and they're suspended or investigated. I mean, Roser just a day or so ago, a couple of hours ago, just got waived by Miami, and that's been going on for a while. Um, you have players that have been accused and have um, been subject and suspects of domestic violence, and they are fined or suspended, but they're not waived. They're not losing their jobs. Jayden Ivey lost his job uh, because he was being preachy in the locker room, and I possibly made people uncomfortable with his religious stance. Some supported, some didn't. Some, um, he was talking about his wife not supporting him anymore. He's talking about um, calling out players that are fake Christians and fake believers. And he's doing all of this through social media, and I guess to the Bulls, it was a distraction, so they deemed it uh, actions detrimental to the team. But I believe the real truth what is that he was waived because of his injury, and I think we kind of can confirm, but just by the way it was handled, that some of the front office people in Chicago were recently fired, except for Donovan. Uh, is Jaden Ivey's NBA career over? Unfortunately, I really do think it is over. I think it is over. It would take, I believe, a special locker room, a special coach, a special organization to, I believe, pick him up. The talent pool for his position is so large. I'm not sure to an organization it will that it's worth the risk. But I think his story is pretty interesting in the fact that he's sharing his faith, he's sharing his belief in Jesus and proclaiming the gospel, and he's pretty much being shut out for it. Whereas you have other, college athletes who are doing essentially almost the exact same thing, and they're being accepted for it. And I just say that to say that actions speak louder than words, and a few words is better than a sermon. People can see your life and see your light through the things you do and not just through the things you say. I'm gonna go religious and say, the Bible says that if I be lifted up, if you lift up Jesus, he said, I will draw all men. So if I lift up Jesus and I live a life um Christ like and I share his light through my life, then God will grant the increase. And so my encouragement to the young people who are Christians is that continue to shine your light and people will follow. People will respect you in whatever space you're in, whether it's school, whether you're at work. You will have, a few. There will be a few occasions where it will be difficult. You will be ridiculed. You will be talked about, but just keep loving your neighbor as you would love yourself, and stay firm in your faith, and God will take care of it. And so that's my take on the whole Jayden Ivey situation. What he does after basketball, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see and to watch. What happens. He had a promising career. He really did. But injuries kind of derailed that. So I hope he gets the help that he needs. Um, I hope he gets the counseling that he needs. He really just needs, I believe, a group of men to just help hold him accountable and disciple him. Um, we can never we can never be so great an expert at what the Bible teaches. So studying is important. Developing your relationship with God is important. And so with humility, use your platform, but also be respectful of others while doing it. Now, going on to basketball, the recap of the college basketball season. The Michigan Wolverines, Michigan Big Blue, won the NCAA championship. It was kind of a sloppy game versus UConn, but they are the winners. The Big Ten overall, they are the winners. Um, for so long, it was always SEC, SEC, SEC. But the Big Ten not only won the men's, but they also won the women's with UCLA winning, taking the women's championship. And in the NIT, Auburn SEC team, Auburn won the NIT. So it goes to show that in the NCAA, you can win a multitude of ways. Indiana came up from the ashes, came out of nowhere, and in 2 years shocked the world with their play. They were the champions in college football. and through just excellent head coaching, transfer portal, um, the Indiana Hoosiers football team won the championship. I think what we learned through the NBA with the college season is that you can learn, you can win a multitude of ways. You can win with freshmen and sophomores mostly. You can win with, some freshmen, sophomores, couple of transfers inserted in, and then you can win with all three international, your maybe one or two freshmen, and then you got a couple of transfer portal guys. You can win long gone are the days where you have a great recruiting class and then those players stay 3, 4 years, whatever, and you win that way. NIL has completely changed the game. Um, since the portal, just speaking on this year alone, half the players that played this year are in the portal now. And newsflash to those players that are in the portal, there's no guarantee that you're going to get extra money. There's no guarantee your NIL is going to increase. In fact, international players are now on the scene, coaches and agents, which is tough for coaches now, but agents are building relationships with um, international players, international coaches, and those international players are now playing college basketball. And I said this a couple of months ago, the beginning of the season, with the UT Martin Skyhawks, how their team is composed mostly of international players. And we're going to see this trend. What the Big Ten is going to be like the international basketball league. Half their teams have international players on them because they're cheaper. They're it's going to be higher retention. Um, they're going to be better developed in skill, and they're honestly less of a headache as compared to a regular just college basketball player, American basketball player. Got players now, and now Congress and the government has gotten involved, and I may speak on this in the next podcast when I pull up the story. Um, about 5 years, one year transfer, something that they suggested. That I'll share and I'll read it. But college basketball landscape has changed completely, um, which gives Memphis, I think, a heads up in local recruiting because if you're in high school, it really messes up with the high school guys. If you're a high school player and you're not top 100, if you're not top 50, it's going to be really hard to get into a major conference. But 50 and below, I would say you're going to a mid-major or just a small conference. And there's no guarantee that you're going to get playing time. So Memphis, which the good news is we got CeeLo Jackson. I hope I said his name right. And we just recently got a commitment from Fred Smith, who's an absolute winner. And so that's really good for Penny and his new staff and the GM. Which I'm wondering, is it officially official that he is on and he's uh, currently, working out. They're gonna have a press conference. I'm wondering if the GM uh, is going to do men's and women's basketball. Are they going? Is he going to be the GM for both sports or just Penny Hardaway and his staff? Is Hannah Hayden going to get some assistance as well? Because every college team, every major college program is going to need a GM if they can afford it. They're going to need a GM. They're going to need some type of front office because it's the new NBA. This is the new league, the new G League. And players right now are making more money in college than they would if they were drafted in the second round. I think now from this point forward, if you're not a freshman, a rising freshman, you're you're not going to be if you're not a rising draft, you're not going to get drafted. You probably get in the second round, and if you're in the second round, you might as well just stay in college because the prices right now are just through the roof. Right now, up to 3 to 4 million. Right now, about 3 to 4 million for a transfer player. For an international player, it might be a little less. But that international player, that transfer player, that player that entered the transfer poodle portal, keep saying poodle. That player that entered the transfer portal, expecting an increase from one to whatever, his spot's going to be taken by an international player that's going to be probably far less, if not the same, all because that one transfer portal player wants more somewhere else or is looking for greener pastures. And so hopefully it players, as in the case St. Louis, for example, I believe we can call it right now. The St. Louis basketball team is bringing pretty much their whole roster back, or at least the core of their roster back. So they're going to be a team to be look out for next season because their core is going to be together. Everyone else is going to be in a total rebuild. So it's just going to be something to look at. Um, we got Jawan Wagner out there. Hopefully, the Tigers can maybe grab him. I think he's just looking for a place where he can just ball out. So there's been talks connected with the Tigers and him possibly, and several other players, several other former Memphians, mostly guards that are in the portal. So we'll see how that translates uh, for next season, which I think will be really exciting. The NBA playoffs are knocking on the door. We're almost. This is, I believe, the last week of the NBA season, and the only thing I'm gonna say about the NBA playoffs is everyone is positioning themselves for seeding. It just be interesting to see. And I think what I'll do is I'll bring on, me and Greg will probably talk about the matchups and how they look going forward. I'll probably bring a guest, just a guest for just to talk about the NBA playoffs. But looking forward to that. Giannis in Milwaukee. This is very interesting to me because I feel like the Memphis Grizzlies and Milwaukee were kind of in the same boat at the trade deadline on whether to trade Ja and to whether to trade Giannis. and I'll go ahead and tie those two together. So Giannis says, "Hey, I'm ready to play. I'm healthy to play." Milwaukee says, "No, we're not going to play you." Basically, the NBA is now in an investigation mode. I believe primarily because it's public and because Giannis made it public. Now, I do believe that Giannis. I think his days in the Milwaukee jersey are over. I think he will be traded this offseason. Where? Really don't know. Odds are probably New York, the New York Knicks. Um, because I believe Stephen A has he's really gone hard at Bridges, and I think just behind closed doors, they're gonna, probably wrap him up in a trade of some sort, and he'll probably end up being a Knick, and Bridges will probably end up being in Milwaukee. But we'll see how that goes. Um, but I find it really interesting that Giannis has said, "Hey, I'm ready to play," and I look at the Grizzlies and I look at their injury report, and I just wonder how many players, because it's pretty much the whole team, how many players would say, "I can go." These little minor surgeries that they're having that they can probably play through, they can wait until the off season and I'll be ready by then. Instead, they've elected to have these procedures like the Edie's injury is just so bizarre to me. Edie was playing so well. Ja was on the verge of coming back, and as soon as Ja comes back, then Edie is put on the injured list, and we have not seen him since. Ja probably could have played after the Greece trip, probably after a few weeks after his shoulder injury, after the trade deadline. Yet the Grizzlies did not allow him to play or give him opportunity to increase his trade value. And now that the reports are that teams were interested, when at the trade deadline it was said that teams weren't interested or very few that were interested. I just believe that the deal is already been done. That the Grizzlies know where Ja's going, uh, and he'll be traded sometime, probably in the draft by whomever. I don't know. Whoever's in front of them in the draft, they're gonna do it once the lottery comes out. Whoever has the first pick, second pick, or whatnot, it's gonna be Ja and their pick, their first round pick for um for the first pick or whoever they want. So I think it'll be interesting to see how that plays itself out. It's just an unfavorable ending though for Ja because the way the Grizzlies have handled this situation has been foul. Um, Ja not being able to participate in fan appreciation night, him saying that he feels alienated by the organization, especially after he has said on numerous occasions that Memphis is home to him. And I know, Memphis doesn't have to be home for you to not want to be there. But I mean, I've said it on numerous occasions that I just feel like the Memphis organization quit on Jaren Jackson Jr., Dylan Brooks, Desmond Vane, and Ja and that core group gelling together. All of them are in the prime of their careers, and then you traded all of them away. So now the new faces of the franchise: Zach Edey, Cedric Coward, Gigi. We got Scottie Pippen Jr. They are now the faces of the franchise. They are now going to be represented. Cedric Coward is going to be. He should be all NBA rookie. Receive all NBA rookie honors, but they are going to be the face of the Grizzlies, the future of the Grizzlies, and whoever their pick is, and we're going to start all over again. It was several opinions suggest that you know we still are a ways away from being championship title contenders, and I believe that that's true. In 5 to 10 years, are the Grizzlies going to come close to a Western Conference Finals? I don't know. We'll see. I'm pretty sure Zach Kleiman and Coach Ti won't last that long, and Zach Kleiman is on the hot seat. No matter how good of a scout he is, if he doesn't nail it this offseason, he's out. I believe he should have been out a long time ago. I mean, but you know, he's going to get the benefit of the doubt, especially since he got these first round picks in via trading Jaren Jackson and Desmond Bain, and now John Morant. So um, we'll see how that goes. But Giannis, I think he ends up being a Nick. Ja, I don't know. I have a feeling that he'll probably end up maybe on a team like Sacramento. UNC move on for Hubert Davis, and they move on to Mike Malone. Somewhat of a shocking hire, but I mean, if we're looking at North Carolina and what they're doing, they hire Coach Bill Belichick, a championship Hall of Famer, Hall of Fame coach. Mike Malone is an NBA champion coach. So they're going for championships, and I believe UNC is in the running for a national championship sometime within probably the next 5 years. Um, of course, I'm not an insider on I'm not an insider for UNC, the Tar Heels, and everything, but they have not played to the championship standard or championship form as Duke is. And I mean, Dusty May, he's come in and he raised FAU to the to a Final Four, and then with Michigan winning a championship. Former AAC coach, former coach under Coach Calipari, Dusty May. You got Yaxel Lindenborg, UAB transferring to Michigan, AAC guy, making a difference in the win for Michigan. And I'm saying that to emphasize the AAC and everything that Penny has been saying as it relates to the conference, as it relates to college basketball. How it's a tough conference. And some of the best players in the AAC are the difference makers at these other different programs. I mean, look at Florida. They had AAC guys, some AAC guys on their teams. So it just goes to show that the league from a basketball standpoint is a good league. Is a tough league, is a veteran league, an older league. Um, but I believe from this point forward, as it relates to college basketball, um, Penny Hardaway, he has a front office, he has a GM, he has assistant coaches that are going to do their jobs, and they're going to have a good. I believe they'll have a good successful season this year coming up, and I also like again the prospects of UNC making some noise in the tournament in the future. Um, again, I'm more. I'm probably gonna get back on the podcast again on tomorrow. With Greg, if everything works out, and we'll go into more detail with the topics I just discussed, and we'll do a little rapid fire. Um, where we're kind of talk a little bit about everything, but that's gonna wrap it up for what's on my mind as far as sports topics go. Um, weather is nice. Get some fresh air. There's a lot of negativity on social media. Um, get your spiritual word in. Take a mental break. Go outside, exercise, take a walk. Our prayers are to the astronauts and NASA's. They try to make their touchdown today, later on. So we our thoughts and prayers go out to them for a safe return home. Pray for our country um, as we are currently at war. So it's a lot going on in the world today, and sports is uh, is 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 awesome because it brings us together. It's a distraction for what's going on in the world today, all the negativity. Um, we can inject some positivity through through good competition. So enjoy the day, enjoy the weekend. Look forward to coming on next time. Again, like and subscribe to the podcast, to my podcast, Mike Sports Podcast Show. Your interaction, your comments are extremely important. Please share anything that I've said that you disagree with or like to add to. Please leave it in the comments. Would really appreciate it. Until next time, peace out and have a nice day.